Aaron Lewis from Liberty Brett Norfleet here with Tommy Lepore here from Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Full swing right now with fall ball. If you're still looking for a tournament, they're out there. Game 7's got some great stuff. We look forward to seeing you out there at a fall ball tournament near you. There you go. Game7Baseball.com. Get your team registered. And we got some great things. We should have an update with Dave Penning next week. We're keeping up to date. Those guys, it's not the off season for anybody really that has to do with baseball. And I'm sure our resident guru here, Kevin Moulder, can say the same thing. Am I right, Kevin? Never an off season.
We are full go right now, right in the middle of fall ball.
There it is, right? How you doing, man?
Doing well. We got mid-July weather going on here the past couple days. So
until Thursday, until today.
Yeah, and then that's right.
Battle for the Arch coming up. That's next week. Looking forward to that. How's that proceeding, man?
Looking good. Putting the finishing touches on the roster, talking to umpires, getting set up for the event. So looking forward to that. It was a great event last season and shaping up to be another strong one this year.
So I'm going to ask you, this goes to Justin and I were talking about this just before we started the show, before you came on. So I remember last year we did that. You're going to do the showcase as normal before the game, right?
Yes.
But you said umpires. I didn't see umpires last year. Are you going to play?
Yeah, we had a crew last year.
Did you really? Was that?
Yeah.
Did I miss that?
Hey, that means they did a good job. That's a great compliment. If you don't notice the umpires, they've done a great job, and so we'll take that as a compliment. They did a good job last year, and they were not a point of the, a focus of the event. So good for them.
Or I'm just getting old and my short-term.
So.
That's awesome. So, competitive game, guys. We're going to be broadcasting this live Tuesday night from GCS Stadium there in Sauget, Illinois. Looking forward to that event as always. Hopefully, we're going to get Coach Funkhauser and Coach Perkins out calling the game with us. I think that'll be a lot of fun. We're waiting on some comments there. And today, if you were tuning in to see Scott Ewell, the new UMSL coach, we're sorry he had to back out today. Meetings, I'm sure he said he apologized, and so hopefully we'll get him back next Wednesday. Coach, look forward to talking to Coach Ewell and seeing what he's got going on with that program. I've been doing some research, and he's had a lot of success. He was at Minot State up in, I think that's Minnesota, right? I believe it is.
I believe so.
Yeah. And but anyway, he's had a lot of success up there. I met him when we were out in Columbia, and he was out there checking out the talent. And that is a conversation, Kevin, that we're starting to have in our youth baseball talk, and I want to bring it to bear with prep baseball talk. Utah, you see this a lot. We have a great amount of kids. The majority amount of players, we'll say at the youth level, I think range in the AA category. And when you say that, people all go, oh my gosh, they're not very good. That's not the case. It's not the case. I think everybody ranges talent level, and at the ages between 9 and 14, there's so much physical development differences that we've categorized. I think it's hard to gauge. But in the prep side, when they get into high school, that double A, triple A stuff seems to go away, right?
Yeah, that is little league, and I don't mean that as an insult. Like it just doesn't matter. Like I couldn't tell you who played what. I can, I do know like um, only because I know the kid and the family that like Adam Hatchman, who's the number one player in the senior class. His dad will outright tell you he wasn't a very great little league player, so he might have played double A baseball. So just because you were good when you were 12 or 9 certainly does not mean that you're going to be good when you're in high school. And if you're bad when you're at that age, or towards the bottom of the roster, I should say, you got if things change in a hurry, you could be an elite player in high school. So getting overly caught up in some of the little league stuff is, not necessarily. It is not a reflection on what is necessarily going to happen in high school. Obviously, some kids are great in little league and great in high school, and then go on to be the world's best player. That's probably like how Bryce Harper was. But
Exactly. You know what? And I've heard the same thing. We talked to Jim Moran. He's an American Legion guy up in the Liberty area, up there, Lee Summit and all that. Post 499. Of course, he was around when Pujols was around there, and he's an older gentleman. And he said Albert was a man among boys playing high school baseball, and he said I remember he's hitting bombs everywhere, and he said it was just fun to watch. So there's very few of those guys out there like that,
yes,
right?
That's right.
And here's where I think the separator, when we're talking, and we don't discuss this much, and I want to get into this a little bit more, because when you get down into the rankings, we're talking about 2023s. Even into that 40 on down range, you're talking, there's an Arkansas State. There's Colin Maloney, the number 39 ranked player in the state in the 2020, out of Melville High School, right-handed pitcher, Arkansas State. Jackson Downing, Liberty North, good pitcher, going to Arkansas State. These is Arkansas State, that's Division I, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're in the Sun Belt Conference.
Is Arkansas Little Rock a Division I?
Yes.
As well? Okay.
Yes.
So they are in that, and then Butler, Missouri State, St. Louis, Evansville. These are all Division I schools, but they are considered those mid-major schools, correct?
Yeah, they fall in line more with the title of mid-major, I suppose. And college baseball is interesting. It doesn't necessarily fall in line with basketball and football. Coastal Carolina won a national championship a couple of years back. So that's a non-Power 5 school winning a national championship in baseball. Long Beach State has been a historic program in baseball. Missouri State has been to the College World Series before and has been in super regionals recently. So you don't have to necessarily be the brand name football school to be competitive in college baseball.
And we saw that with Grant Richards going to Coastal Carolina from St. Dominic over here. Finding those kids, those players going to a school like that, they're competing, and I think they were in the top 25 again last year. And Coastal Carolina, that program is moving well. So it is a little different. I never thought about it that way. We try to categorize things because of what we hear, right?
That's right. That's right. And a lot of the smaller southern schools are really strong at baseball, and maybe, a big, powerful Big Ten school isn't so great at baseball sometimes. So it kind of just, and some of them are very good, but it kind of, it's not the general public's perception of who's good in college sports, it's probably a little bit different for baseball.
And I understand there are northern schools that have good baseball teams, but you understand why many of the kids go south to play baseball, depending upon the college and whatnot, because it's just warmer.
Yep.
And
it's tough to play baseball in Michigan in March and April. And that's when college baseball is. March, April, May. It starts at the very end of February.
Yeah, and
third Friday of February.
And when it's 20 degrees, it's not fun.
No, it is not.
And when most of those programs open, they're playing in southern state tournaments in that first few weeks. They're really trying to get through that first part of that cold. And a lot of times you're seeing they'll play some home games, but they're waiting for that March 21st date really to solidify that moving back up home type of thing. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, that's, some of those programs have tremendous resources, and so they'll fly and they'll even host tournaments down in Florida or Texas at a pro park or, a site of some nature. And so, that's what they'll do for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. They'll just go south and get good weather.
So let's talk about this, Kevin. We got, as we've talked about the top 50, we've put a lot of that, and number 55 here is a really good player, Cannon Stuckey, who we've talked about from Lafayette. He's going to Drury University, a D2 school. There's Wyatt Brown from Afton, right-handed pitcher, Eastern Illinois, a D1 school in that.
Yep.
Miles Kruger going to Rhodes College. That's interesting.
Smart kid.
Right? Because if people don't know, that's where the term a Rhodes Scholarship comes from, where you can go and study abroad and they pay for it all and whatnot. You have to be a tremendous brainiac to do that. That's the way I put it, at least. So kudos.
Well, no, that's awesome to see. Honestly, there's a guy, and Miles Kruger's a really nice ball player. He's going to a place that is going to set him up, for the rest of his life. He's going to be in good position, and he's, getting to play college baseball while he's doing it. So that's what it's all about, and it certainly is about finding the right fit. And there's the baseball fit of it, and the academic fit of it, and the geographical fit, and there's a lot of pieces, the financial fit. So there's a lot of pieces to go into it, and it's it's refreshing when you see a kid choose a school for the right reasons for them.
There you go. I love that. And as we're going down here, we saw Kai Bennett, talk to him. He's got offers from UCM, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. And he said there was a few others. So again, Division II there. Cole Lemons, Jefferson, Jeffco down there, junior college. That's out of Notre Dame. That's Notre Dame. That's is that up north? Is that Quincy area? I believe it is.
No, Notre Dame. No? That's going to be the southeast Missouri, Cape Girardeau area.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Cooper Walkoff. He's got the best baseball name ever.
He's got a strong one, doesn't he?
I'm telling you, man. Cooper Walkoff.
Yeah.
I can't help it, man. That's beautiful. Parkway West kid, Missouri Southern, Division II school, right? Maryville University, Sam Cardwell. Drury University, Clayton Kaiser. Southwestern Illinois JC, Caleb Oligschlager.
Yes.
Dang, I nailed it. Brooks Kettering going to SEMO, kid from Glendale. Southern Illinois Edward. Isn't SIUE now Division I as well?
It is Division I, yes.
There you go. So you see a lot of these smaller schools, Division two. I want to bring this to bear real quick and just kind of talk about a couple of these things, Kevin, as we lead into this. There's four Division one schools in the state of Missouri, right?
Well, technically now there's 5.
Really?
Lindenwood just moved to Division One.
So which one did I miss? I was counting them.
If we're talking baseball, we got Missouri State, Mizzou, St. Louis University, SEMO, and Lindenwood.
Yep. Always, the one that I forget is SLU. That's the terrible thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the one
is a terrible thing.
I know, right?
I coached there for 7 years, so I don't forget that one.
My bad, dude. Disrespect.
Yeah.
Oh, but they've always had a pretty good baseball program as well, correct?
They've had a great program. They've in recent years they've made multiple regionals and had some 40-win seasons. Put a guy into the big leagues and a lot of guys into pro ball. So they're rolling, and that's a school that is the right fit type place. So it's obviously a high academic school, and so there's some pieces about it that make it great, but also make it not a fit for everyone as well. So, it kind of goes into that larger discussion of finding the right fit for you.
So, and here's the thing. I'm this person about being honest about things, and everybody goes, well, I want to go here and I want to do this. Well, good. That's fine. But let's talk about these things in a very tangible way. What percentage of the athletes we're looking at here? It's obvious. I don't see, if you're looking at SLU, I think there's a couple of kids up here, and it may be in the 24s that are going to SLU, because I don't see any of these 23s with St. Louis University. Oh, there's 2. Brandon Hackworth, Joshua Cunningham, one kid from DeSmet Jesuit, and the other player from Jackson High School. So they've got, and then Jackson Yarbury is also committed. So they got 3 players out of this 2023 class going to SLU. But as you said, academically, that has to work, correct?
That's right. Yes. St. Louis University is obviously one of the top schools in the country, and certainly regionally is super, it's one of the top academic schools. So you got to find the kid that meets the academic requirements and also wants to take that type of workload on in college. So it takes the right kid to take that type of challenge on.
So I want to talk a little bit here as we're talking about Division II schools. We've put a number of kids' names here in this 2023 class in this lower. There are numerous Division II schools in the state of Missouri, and there are, of course, UCM has been at the top of that heap for many years. I was looking at UMSL's history, and they've got a real successful history. It's just been recent where they've declined, correct?
Yeah, they were one of the top programs in the area back in the 70s and 80s. They were extremely strong under Coach Jim Brady, legendary coach there at UMSL. But yeah, they have a proud history, and they have declined here recently. But they got a new coach, and there's certainly optimism around that program now.
So when we're looking at this, and we're talking to players, 1%, we're talking about 1% of all baseball players are going to play at the Division I level, period. What should we be looking at here? You're getting these kids that are going to Wichita State, Missouri State, New Mexico State, Mizzou, Arkansas State, Arkansas Little Rock. Where do we take and start really focusing on how many of these kids are going to these schools and what's drawing them and keeping them away from some of these Division II schools where they might play a little bit maybe right away? Or is Division II similar in that process to a Division I school where I'm sure UCM, you may go there and not play as a freshman and sophomore, right?
Yeah, people need to understand just because it's Division One doesn't mean it's better. I coached at Central Missouri for a couple of years. When we took over at St. Louis University, our Central Missouri team that we coached the year before would have annihilated the first St. Louis University baseball team that we coached, to be real honest with you. So, D2 doesn't necessarily mean worse than Division One. Now, why kids make these decisions? Yes, the prestige of, the ego, the prestige of going to Division One, but there's also financial considerations. In Division One baseball, right now, they're allowed 11.7 scholarships. In Division II baseball, they're allowed 9 scholarships, and many of those schools are not fully funded. So there is a financial difference. So Division I has more resources to go out and recruit people. So if I'm a Division I school and I offer you, a 50 or 60% scholarship, and I'm a Division II school, I'm only able to offer you a 30% scholarship. Which one are you going to choose, Ryan? If they're the same price on the front end before the scholarship. So it is easier sometimes for the Division Ones to get the players from a financial standpoint, which helps them attract more talent.
See,
and I'll keep going on this. Division III offers no athletic scholarships. Junior colleges depends on the state, but like for instance, the state of Missouri has 24 tuition and book scholarships, and then we also have the Missouri A+ program, which I advise all high school students to go through that process, so you can go to your local community or go to any Missouri junior college for tuition free, which is a phenomenal deal. So that can also be the most affordable option quite often.
I love that thought process. So when you're looking at Division II, they're hamstrung a little bit when they're going after that player in that range. Agreed?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Now, this is where in baseball in particular, it's not just lip service. Academics matter. If I'm a coach and I'm looking at 2 kids and they're of I don't believe in equal, but that there's always a slight difference. But let's say they were in a dead heat. They're about the same baseball player in terms of talent. If one of them has a 3.5 and a 26 ACT, and the other has a 2.6 GPA and a 19 ACT, you're going to take the kid with the better academics because you feel better about them long term in your program being eligible and moving forward, but they're also going to be cheaper. You're going to most likely be able to get that kid an academic scholarship. You're not going to have to give them as much baseball money because you're going to be able to give them financial academic money to go with it. So the grades really play an important role in the recruiting process, especially in baseball.
We need to take this show on the road and just do clinics for parents, man.
Well, I do part of that with my day job, obviously talking about this, the differences in levels and how important academics play a role in the recruiting process.
So let's look at this. So we understand UCM is there, but let's take a look at, UMSL, Maryville, Drury University down in Springfield. How are they? They're not the bigger names. Drury's always is competitive. They're pretty competitive year after year. They have a good program down there. UMSL, again, with Scott Ewell trying to really get back to that. Maryville has been pretty competitive. consistent in
Maryville's
their
come on really strong. That's a program that hasn't been very successful. They've kind of been the opposite of UMSL. They've kind of been a doormat, and then Coach Evers got in there and he's put some real life into the program, and they won their conference his first year regular season, and they set a school record for wins last season with low 30 win total. So they're rolling, and they have a really nice facility, and got a lot of energy in that Maryville program right now. So there's some great local options, certainly.
So with a Division II program, say that we're talking about this, how much, we're talking about money, we're talking about scholarships, we're talking about those things in these programs like a Maryville, like a Drury. Drury plays at US Bank Ballpark, where the state championships, the Missouri State Championships are right now. Maryville has a field on campus. I'm not quite sure where UMSL plays. Do they play on campus?
They play on campus. They play on campus.
And I know UCM plays on campus. So when you're talking,
phenomenal facility on campus.
There's a difference too, right there. Correct. When you're talking about a program like a Division II program, how much is football there? Basketball are always the two main sports. So how do these Division II programs like a Missouri Western, like a UMSL, like these schools really compete to bring in these kids and look at those kids in these types of rankings to where they can bring them into the program?
Like Central Missouri, for example, is a fully funded Division II school. So they have the 9 full scholarships, which helps. And they have beautiful facilities. I mean, their baseball facilities are better than most Division I's, to be honest with you. It's an incredible setup. Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros, has been instrumental there. He played at Central Missouri. He's a St. Louis guy from Lutheran South High School, and played at Central Missouri, and has always been very generous and remembered where he came from, and has helped them build up some first-class facilities that could compete with a lot of the top baseball programs, in the region, quite honestly.
Wow. So when you're looking at that, that's going to go a long way in the recruiting process. You're fully funded. You have the facilities, whereas maybe Drury doesn't have a similar type of facility in that Division II space, correct?
Yes. Now, Drury also has a nice facility. They play in the Pro Park. It's all field turf. They have a locker room down their right field line. They got a lot of things going for them as well. Missouri Southern has a beautiful brand new facility. I think I've talked about this during the spring, how fortunate we are. We do have a lot of good so-called small school baseball programs. We have some of the best junior college baseball in the country. We have elite Division II baseball. Now Lindenwood just transitioned to D1, but had prior to that they were ranked number 1 in the country, Division II, 2 years ago. Webster University is a perennial D3 power. They go to the D3 World Series about every other year. Missouri Baptist is a really strong NAI program, has been to the NAI World Series multiple times. So that we are well represented, and there are a lot of strong options for our baseball players in high school beyond the Division I programs in our state.
Do you think that when we're talking about club baseball and things like that, and this is where we've really focused a lot in our youth baseball talk, is really taking that aspect of youth baseball and just focusing on high school baseball. Focus on getting your child ready for high school baseball. Go make your high school baseball team, because it's going to be tough enough to make Francis Howell, Timberland, Liberty North. It's going to be tough to make Kickapoo's team. These schools, it's tough to make your high school team at that Class 5, Class 6 level. So that, to me, should be the focus, right?
Yeah, kids growing up, I mean, in youth baseball that, if you become serious about baseball by the time you're in middle school, the first goal you should have is make your high school baseball team, and that can present a challenge. I mean, that's a real challenge. Making Coach Perkins' team at Francis Howell is not easy. You know, there's plenty of really strong programs in our area. I just picked Howell out, but
Yeah.
I could go down the line, um, and that's step one, and then then making the varsity team would be step two, and then once you've done all that, then we can start talking about colleges and whatnot. Now there are some young guys that have been committed, that get committed before they play a high school baseball game, but those we're talking about the one percenters of the one percenters there. That's everyone needs to run a little bit different race, and theirs happen for them a little quicker.
So, and this where when you start, it's interesting that you said, concentrate on making your high school, making your varsity team. You're talking about if you go down to Jackson High School, which we've talked a lot about. You go up into Kansas City, Raymore, the Lee Summit schools. You go into the Middle Rockbridge, Hickman, Staley. These schools have big time programs. And if you're not focused as a sophomore to really work to make your varsity team, that's going to be a struggle for you. And, we all want to go in our summer group and perform and do the showcases. And I think those things are all well and good. And, but are you good enough to play at that varsity level? And then where does that present you on a national level when you're talking about, you better be pretty good to play at UCM.
Absolutely. You better be pretty good.
And when we're talking about Division II, Kevin, I was just looking at this at last year. Quincy University won their half of the Midwest Regional in the Division II playoffs. UCM lost in their final game in the Midwest. I think they were in the Midwest Regional. They lost in that final game. Quincy University. Nobody talks too much about Quincy. D2 school up there.
Very strong program. Quincy, Illinois.
Yes. And so that really stood out to me when I started looking at that. The GLVC, William Jewell over in Kansas City. They're not as strong, but D2 school that and I want to talk a little bit more as we get into it, because then you go over to Illinois. Illinois Springfield won the GLVC this year.
Very strong Division II program.
So I don't think you always have to think Division I or bust. And especially if it's a small one, you have some really, really good baseball programs, and there are kids getting drafted out of these schools. And the GLVC seems to be a very, very good Division II conference. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, absolutely. It's one of the better D2 baseball conferences out there, especially in the Midwest. MIAA is also a very strong baseball conference as well. So, yeah, like we said, there's a ton of good small school baseball in our region.
And I know that always people go, oh, small school, it must not be very good. I think it's interesting, and these are some of the things I think are very important to bring to bear, having these conversations so that kids have a little better understanding of what they're looking for and what they're looking to attain. And as you said, I think we need to go through the JC stuff as well and talk about some of these programs, because, man, my goodness.
There's some super talented junior colleges. I was just out at Creekside covering a tournament over in Kansas City of some of the top JUCOs in the Midwest. There's a lot of talent, and it's eye-opening, and I would suggest to any parent or player that is thinking about having their son or move on to college baseball, go watch Maryville play, go watch Jeffco play, see what that looks like, and see how you stack up. Go watch Webster University or whatever's closest to you. See how you stack up versus that. It could be an eye-opening experience. If you get time, go down there and watch them take BP before the ball game.
That's some good advice right there, folks. That's good advice. Kevin, as always, man, thanks for dropping the knowledge.
A lot of fun. We definitely need to have some more, small school talks moving forward. This was a fun one.
Absolutely. And hopefully, Kevin, I'm looking forward to we get Scott Ewell in the studio. I would love to get some opportunities if we can do it. I'm going to reach out to him, talk to some more of these Division II NAIA school coaches. I think it would be some interesting conversations.
It would be fun to hear their recruiting pitch and their thoughts and their challenges and their opportunities that they provide the young high school players.
Absolutely. Kevin Moulder, folks, if you want to follow Kevin, that's his tags are up there on Twitter and Instagram. It's a great follow, great information. Check them out. If you're looking for the rankings, all that, you can go to prepbaseballreport.com. Make sure you sign up. You can click on the state Missouri, though. Got to do that. Make sure you do that. Follow him there. Folks, we will see you next week. Looking forward to the Tuesday night Battle for the Arch. Check it out. Make sure you watch. There's going to be some great players from both Illinois and Missouri. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters,
hit them where they ain't.
Good advice. We'll see y'all next time.